Welcome, Christian Metal Group. My name's Jimmy Searles. We're here with Jay Goodwin.
Yo, what's up, y'all? We're both,
And
of
to,
course,
yeah,
on the leadership team for the Christian Metal Group.
where we just apparently people think we sit and delete comments all day. But
That's half
today
of what
we
we
are
do.
talking with George Ochoa. How are you doing today?
Good. How you guys doing today?
Great,
We're
man. Glad
amazing.
to have you on here. Uh,
Be here.
yeah. So tell us, did you grow up in a religious home?
Well, yeah, to an extent. But it was Catholic, so it wasn't like
Interesting.
evangelical Christian. It was. I grew up a Catholic, and to be honest with you, this isn't a bash on anybody who's Catholic out there. But me as a Catholic, I can only tell you my experience is. I was simply just a religious Catholic. I was Catholic because I was born into it, and
Hmm.
supposedly, and this and that, and I never knew Jesus during that time. No way. I mean, I didn't know what the Bible said. I didn't know anything. I just knew that I was
Right.
quote unquote Catholic.
Hmm.
So I think there's a lot of Catholics that are that way. They're just kind of their family's Catholic, they're Catholic, and then they stick with it.
Yeah.
As I examine for myself, and I'll tell you my spiritual journey later, or as we get into this. I think I came to my faith in Christ and in the Bible a little later in life, for sure. But to answer your question, it's an interesting question because did you grow up with any religion? Religion is could be anything, you know what I mean? And it's just like so. It's almost I always want to say yes, I did grow up with religion, but it wasn't. I always want to say the right one.
Yeah, yeah. I understand. There's a few flaws here and there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's okay. I think that God can use anything, man. And even the knowledge of Christ that you got at that time, I'm sure you know we grow hopefully spiritually.
That's right.
Hopefully we don't shrink. So yeah. So speaking of growth, man, I'll ask this: did you grow up in a musical home?
In a musical home, and that's an interesting question because my grandfather, who was a wonderful singer, violinist, guitar player, um, he played in orchestras all his life and played guitar for the family. We'd all sit around and he'd play for everybody like at Christmas and everything
Oh,
like that.
wow.
So those are my fond memories. And he had four sons and a daughter, and not one of them was a musician,
Hmm.
including my dad. So it skipped a generation to me. So I was like the next musician after my grandfather was a musician. And I
Hmm.
can't say that he ever encouraged me in my music because he kind of died when I was pretty young.
Hmm.
So I do have memories of him, but not like detailed ones. I don't ever, I don't remember him ever encouraging me to play or anything like that. But I guess in a sense, I was encouraged to play because I saw him playing and how happy he made the family when he would pull out his guitar and start playing for everybody. I
Yeah.
do remember that everybody would clap and he'd sing, and it was fun. It was cool.
Yeah, it was an early influence on you.
Yeah.
So kind of what's your journey from early childhood into when did you pick up an instrument, and then kind of how did you get into music and then heavy metal?
Well, it's kind of a funny story, but and it's not a very spiritual one because I'll tell you, I'll tell
Hey,
you
that's
why.
okay. It's all part of the journey.
Well, check it out. Well, what? A God definitely turned me around. I'll tell you that right now because I originally got into music to get chicks.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
listen. Check this out. I remember going to school at my junior high school, and hearing the. Well, let me back up a little bit. When I was young, my dad bought me a Sears Telecaster, beige. I still remember it was beige with white pickguard, and it was a Sears Telecaster, and a little amp. And I forgot how old I was. I was probably like 10 or something. And I remember I was mad because I wanted a bike that year. I didn't want a dumb guitar. So um, that guitar just sat there, dusty. Didn't touch it, because I wanted a bike. I didn't want a guitar.
Right.
Later, fast forward later in
nice.
life, I went to junior high, and we had a school play, whatever. And I remember these guys that were in junior high with me had a band, and they were up there playing, and all the girls were screaming, and I went like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta get in the band."
That's hilarious.
so so again, it's not a very spiritual story, but what's hilarious about it is my grandmother, by the way, just I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. She was a Catholic, and she was, I believe she was a had faith in Christ. I really do. And I remember her telling me when I was trying to like make play on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles. I grew up in LA, and she would say to me, one day you're gonna be playing for the Lord. And I just like went like
Nice.
right, I'd almost mock her and laugh at it, because I thought
Mm.
like that's the last thing I want to play my music for, is sit on a goofy stool with a goofy haircut and a suit and play and play music, play Christian music. Are you kidding me? uh wow, was that a prophecy or what? Because I ended up playing for the Lord later, and my lo and behold, look at, here I am,
Awesome.
uh many 50 years later, having
She was
played in
much
Christian music.
wiser. She was much wiser than you gave her credit for.
Oh yeah, big time. Well, no, I give her the props for that.
Well,
I
back
mean,
back then.
yeah, back then, you're right. I was laughing at her like, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah,
Grandma knows best, yo. Like for real.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah, I love it, man. Oh my goodness. So, we were talking about, so as far as metal, I know, like as what was the first song you learned, like on guitar maybe, and then how did that evolution happen?
That's a great question, because I remember going to I did take some guitar lessons, and I remember his name was Donnie Baker. Yeah, that's his name. And he I just bring him any song that I wanted to learn, he'd teach me. I remember one of the first songs I ever learned was I think "Walk This Way" by Aerosmith,
Okay.
if I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. I remember that for some reason. Um, but yeah, that was my. I'm largely self taught, but I also did take some lessons, and most of the lessons were him teaching me cover songs, not necessarily okay, do this scale and that scale, and I learned my
Right.
scales and all that stuff eventually. Obviously, what sounded good, what sounded bad, but yeah, that's probably my start right there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people learn differently too. So I think that's a great story, because everybody that we've talked to has definitely had different stories for sure. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
I kind of the way you learn is kind of the way I learn too.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
learning songs rather than doing a bunch of lessons. I was a horrible student.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
But anyway,
Well, well, let's get into your music a little bit here. So, if this is correct, and it's not always, but looking back on before Deliverance, you have a recording for Old Time Religion for Glory. Is that correct? On the
Old
seventh?
time, no.
No.
There's a couple other George Ochoas, but yeah, that sure
Oh,
isn't me.
interesting. It's listed on your Discogs, but
Oh,
you know,
oh, glory. What's that?
um, Old Time Religion, Glory is spelled Glori. I enjoy being with you. Um,
No, that
no.
must be. That's why I started using George Rene Ochoa. That's my middle name.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's a lot of other. There's a drug lord in Colombia,
oh,
George
Yes.
Ochoa.
well,
He
they've
actually goes by Jorge Ochoa, which is the Spanish
okay.
version.
Well, they've
Uh,
miscredited you with that then.
That
and
is
then and
so
then there's
funny.
another George Ochoa that was deceased. I go, well, it's not me,
No.
not yet.
Okay, well then, so we have you release a supplication with Deliverance, and then you've had Recon, and
Recon.
obviously a lot more that you've had in your musical career. So how did that first album come about with the band formation and everything?
Well, the very first Christian band that I ever got into was a band called Prophet, Prophet, and
Hmm.
without getting into the long, long story, not profit like for money,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
but a prophet of God. Uh,
Amen. Amen.
and without getting into a really long story, because this is opening up a whole can of worms, but it was Roger Martinez that recruited me to that band,
Oh wow.
and he's the one that actually invited me to the Bible study that I first came to Christ in, I believe.
Oh
So
wow,
Amazing.
so he
that's
was
awesome.
instrumental in my conversion to Christ, which whether he likes it or not, what happened with him in the last
Sure.
days of his
Sure.
life, or last few years actually, where he kind
Mhm.
of fell away. Again, that's a whole nother story, but in a whole nother show, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, but that was the first band, and I remember that was prior to even Striper, I think, getting signed, or had just gotten signed. We heard about this Christian band that was like throwing out Bibles. So like, all right, let's go check them out. And we went to the Troubadour to go see them, which is a Troubadour
Wow.
is a club in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I saw these guys walking in with these like yellow and black spandex and crazy hair, and I had long hair, but I didn't have crazy hair like they did, poofed up and all that. It's like, whoa! And then they got up on stage, started preaching, started throwing out Bibles. I was blown away, like wow, And again, this is before their album even came out, and I think a few weeks prior to this, they were Rock's Regime still. So, so yeah, I still remember playing Living Room with Baron Cross, and they opened up for Prophet. I still remember playing Calvary Chapel, West Covina, and same thing. It was Baron Cross and Prophet. That was Raul Reese's church,
That's
and
incredible.
yeah, so this was all like a little movement started to birth, and and then we heard about Sanctuary and got plugged into Sanctuary, and then we broke off and did Sanctuary Hollywood, and yeah, and then we put out the Cal Metal records, and all these bands
Mhm.
started getting signed from that, and then probably the first Christian band that I was in that got signed was probably Recon,
Yeah.
but I was kind of like in Deliverance at the time too. It's kind of an interesting story how that came about because Recon was playing a lot of shows, making some headroom, and we had recorded on Cal Metal too. And John and Dino Elefante produced that. We I guess we were one of the premier bands that was from that record. People started commenting from that, so um, we started getting a lot of shows, playing a lot in Hollywood and the LA area.
Mhm.
And then things started to go really sour in the band. I mean, with
Mhm.
with people like just not living the way they're supposed to live without getting into details.
Sure.
So at that time, Jimmy Brown came to one of our shows that we did in Burbank, and he asked me to see if I'd be interested in joining Deliverance, and that was like right when they finished their first record, like 2 weeks after they finished their first record.
Nice.
So I missed being on that record by like 2 weeks or like a month, whatever. But I listened. We went out to his car, I listened to it, and yeah, I really like this. I said, yeah, I'm in. So I joined Deliverance at that point, and we started writing Weapons. Um,
Did
but
you
at the same
listen?
time, I
Did you
still had
listen
all
to
these
it on a
tech.
cassette? Was this on a cassette?
Yeah, Jimmy was play. He went out to his car, and he plopped in the cassette of the new
Okay.
mix of Deliverance, which was the first record.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
With the call and victory and
Yeah.
all that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was like, going, yeah, this is killer stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in. But at that point, I still didn't want to totally dump Recon because I had these 10, 12 songs that we written that I just were just going to go by the wayside because now it's in Deliverance. And so, anyways, the only song that I brought over to Deliverance that was a Recon song that Jimmy liked was "Slay the Wicked," which that was a Recon
Yeah.
song we used it for Deliverance. But
Nice.
anyways, so at that point, I talked to the guys at Frontline, and they'd agreed to put out the Recon record. So I put that out in 1990, as well as we put out Weapons that year too. So I was kind of busy that year. And in hindsight, those are two pretty iconic records. But mainly, if you really think about it, Weapons is really the ultimate iconic record of that era. I mean, people still talk about that record. I don't know why, but they do.
Oh yeah, I know that I remember seeing HM that Lars Ulrich he mentioned Weapons as one of his top 10 favorite metal videos or something
Oh,
like that.
Yeah.
wow, that's pretty rad.
hmm
Nice.
Yeah, I never saw that clip, but I've heard about it many, many, many times.
Yeah, I may have seen the clip like once or something, but yeah, that's hilarious, man. And just speaking of Metallica, I know that the Christian thrash scene came like a little later, like, late '80s, early '90s. and there was so many bands. That was definitely the era I grew up in, and I remember listening to Striper. But then, like right after that, I heard Tourniquet, and I was like, ah, okay. Like I immediately gravitated towards the heavier stuff. Um, I definitely want to get into human code, but I just quickly maybe sum up what it was like to be in the Christian thrash scene at that time.
You know, it's funny because there's a few friends of mine. As soon as I joined Deliverance, they go, "That's not you, man. You're not a thrash head, man. You're like a
Oh
rock.
no.
You're a rocker. You're a metal guy." I was like, "Nah, not really. I mean, I'm a Metallica fan. I like that a lot. But you know what? I morphed into one because I really started listening to bands like Testament a lot.
Yeah,
This Anthrax.
yeah.
And I started like going, okay, let me. I get this scene. This is pretty badass. I mean, it's like some really cool
Mhm.
stuff.
Absolutely.
So I definitely probably morphed into that scene more so. You know, it's funny. To this day, I still get people think that I'm a since I've been in like I've done produced a mortification record, played on
Right.
it, did vengeance tours and stuff like that. Um, to be honest with you, I'm more of a melodic metal guy. I mean, honestly, to this day, I mean,
Hmm.
and we'll talk about my current projects big time that are just totally melodic metal. I like singing. I like melody. I
Yeah.
like that stuff. I do like some of the grunt stuff and the attitude that it brings to the
Hmm.
table. But just 90 minutes of it or whatever at a live show gets really old to me. I mean, it's just like, oh my gosh, you know. I do like it as far as like, again, adding to the vibe and adding, that aggressiveness. And I believe in using it here and there, which we kind of do and we kind of have, and I still plan to because I think it's very modern to do that. Uh, Back then, the thrash scene, I used to also be, back in that time, I was a pretty busy boy. I was just Vengeance's sound man. I used to run their sound for them.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
Oh, okay. I
so
wondered
I
where
was
that
like,
connection
so
came
when I wasn't playing with Deliverance or whatever, I'd do Vengeance shows and I'd do their sound, and they never paid me, by the way.
from.
oh man, man.
Well, you
but,
you
I wasn't asking
you
anyways.
you
I mean, I was
engineered one of their albums though, right?
yeah, Roger, yeah, with Roger, but that's another story. But anyway, yeah, so being part of that scene, I saw the value in it because I did a little interview with Jimmy on that hot metal summer thing, and I said that a lot of these kids are. And I'll say the same thing today. A lot of these kids are at that time, and maybe even so much today. I don't know, but are into really some really deep, dark things. And then when you
Yeah.
hear like messages of light like this, it was. Believe me, through the years, I've gotten many letters, many texts, phone calls of people that have just their lives have been transformed. Even going to Immortal Fest, going, "Hey man, you guys, I picked up your album. I was on the verge of suicide, and I didn't do it because I read some of your lyrics, and it's like
Yeah.
I gave it to my sister. Had gotten in an accident. She was almost dead, and this
Wow.
brought her back to life. I mean, just great stories that we were just four dummies putting out a record, and like we didn't know it'd have this kind of impact on people's lives. It
You
was,
know it's all God. Yeah.
yeah,
Amen.
yeah.
Absolutely.
In fact, four dummies that just thought that they were just putting out a record, but God was using it for His purposes, which is
Yeah.
pretty
Wow.
awesome.
Amen.
That's a pretty powerful statement.
It really is,
Yeah,
man. Yo, so I will say just for the record, I know Weapons may be well, I'll say it's one of my top five Deliverance songs, but I think that What a Joke is actually my favorite Deliverance album.
Okay.
really.
So what inspired you all? I know that there were a lot of just like y'all definitely went with the theme a lot. Look on that album. There was some very serious songs like "Prophet of Idiocracy" or whatever. And
Idiocy. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and also
pseudo intellectual was kind of like very in your face type lyrics.
yes, but
Yeah,
"Cheeseburger Maker Do" is also on that album. So it's like
yeah.
was was that some song where you're just like where the riffs are playing and it's like a recipe for
Oh, chip beef.
yes, chip beef, dude.
Yeah, Jimmy's just reciting a recipes while.
Right. You know what? This in this moment, you mentioned Anthrax earlier. I guess that could be comparable to some of the stuff that Anthrax did because they had a very silly side too, for sure. So
Well, if you remember the album SOD, which is
oh, yeah,
Scotty's
yes,
other
yeah,
stuff,
Stormtroopers,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. That, to be honest with you, weapons was not weapons. What a joke was kind of inspired by that record.
Hmm.
Without getting into a long story, I'll just get into as quick as I can. That record really wasn't the record we wanted to put out. Jimmy and I had plans after to follow up Weapons with this grandiose record, and we were going to call it Hypocrisy. It was almost going to be a theme record, and we just had just high hopes and expectations for we're going to outright ourselves from the previous record, and just top it. And the record company said we need a record within a couple months or whatever. And I remember Jimmy and I having lunch with him, going, "We're not ready. We want to really do a masterpiece, our next record."
Yeah.
And they said, "Nope, we need a record. End the story, or I'll make sure." And I still remember what the executive from Frontline said. He said the exact words, "Or I'll make sure Deliverance never records again."
Wow.
Like,
They were
whatever.
gangster, man.
So Jimmy
Wow.
and I walked out of that meeting like, whatever. All right, let's give him a record. So, we came up with What a Joke. Just he's like, not that we did it half-heartedly. No, I mean, it's still got some pretty good stuff. I mean, Jimmy's got some killer riffs on there at some of the fast stuff that we did. I mean, even pseudo intellectual and
Yeah.
Prophet Years, listen to those rhythm guitars. It's insanity, and
Yeah.
it's Jimmy Brown's massive speed metal playing. I think the song "What a Joke" is actually a great song,
Oh, that's a
but
good
so
song.
we didn't half butt it, but at the same time, it wasn't the record that we really wanted to put out.
Hmm.
So that's why we put up those little goofy, dumb songs like Chip Beef and Cheeseburger Maker Do just to fill up the record. Uh, uh, okay, here's your record, Frontline. This isn't the one we wanted to give you, but here you go. And that was kind of our attitude. And then after that, I guess there was just some things that just didn't go right internally, and I didn't, I wasn't in the band after that. So,
Oh
um,
wow.
yeah. So what a joke. It is a cool record, but it's not the record we quite wanted to put out. And I
Right.
don't think
Right.
either Jimmy or I are like look at that as our best work, but it's actually, hey, the audience is who matters, what they like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and obviously you uh Jay, you like it, so there you
Oh,
go.
That's
absolutely.
right.
Yeah. I think that, so many people were taking themselves so seriously. I mean, you think about Vengeance Rising, you think about like, um, even Tourniquet. They had like a couple of little things where they kind of were silly, but for the most part, everybody was
Oh
taking
man.
themselves so seriously. So to
I'm
have a
listening
record,
to a Tourniquet album right now, and I just that when you said that, I was thinking the song "Bats." They're
yeah,
singing about bats and all, and it's kind of silly, but there's also a spiritual
right.
component behind it. I love that kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So speaking of, just those bands, Mortification, what was it like working with Steve Roll on Rhythm Machine? Primitive Rhythm Machine. There we go.
That was awesome. Steve is an awesome guy. I've known
Absolutely.
him, and I met him. I guess I met him through Roger because Roger worked with them on their first record.
Roger was the plug, man.
Yeah, he was in a lot of ways.
right.
As Jimmy says, he's a good networker. Roger was a good networker.
Hmm.
But Steve and I kind of formed a really cool relationship. It's still to this day, I'm not sure if I've like laughed so much with somebody as I've laughed with Steve Rowe.
Yeah.
Every time Steve Rowe and I got together, we would just, for some reason, make each other laugh like crazy. And so that's my fond memory of Steve. And not that he's departed from us yet, because he's actually had a lot of health issues through the years.
Yeah,
But
true.
but uh, uh, but it was an honor for me to do it. I said, yeah, let's do it. And we got together and we talked on the phone and this and that. So I was just supposed to produce that record. That's it. I wasn't
Hmm.
supposed to play on it. He brought two guys in from Canada,
Right.
and they were they were recording. Well, I guess the guitar player without I even forgot the guy's name.
Jason Campbell.
Yeah, uh,
Yeah,
yeah. He was starting to give Steve some lip and some back talk, and when you think about Mortification, that's Steve's band,
absolutely.
and what Steve says kind of goes,
Hmm.
because this is band, and he's not a tyrant like that. He really isn't. He's a
Yeah,
mild,
Steve is
nice
the
guy.
coolest, man.
So if you piss Steve off, you really done something pretty bad.
That's right.
So I'm there producing, and I'm just like pushing buttons, giving suggestions. Hey, let's do this, let's do that, like producers do. And I remember they having some kind of blowout. Steve said play this, and the guy refused to do it.
Oh,
He goes,
man.
okay, whatever. Steve grabs me. He goes in the other room. Can I talk to you? I go, yeah. He goes, can you finish? Can you finish the rest of this record? Because we're only 2 songs in, I think, into the record, and this guy's already like giving an attitude. I told Steve. He goes, can you finish play guitar on this record? I go, yeah, if you want, I'll do it. He goes, oh, good. I'm gonna. And he walks in there. He goes, you're fired. Get out.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And he put him on a plane back to Canada. And I started playing guitar on that record, and so I wasn't supposed to play guitar on that record, but I ended up playing guitar on it
Wow, that's
because
pretty
again we,
incredible.
we had yeah, that guy. So it was really cool. I liked it. I mean, it was I was just Steve's guitar player at that time. He told me
Yeah.
Yeah.
what to play, and he was without patting myself in the back, he was amazed. Go, wow, I've never played with anybody your caliber. I go, oh, thanks, I appreciate it, because he'd teach me something, and I'd lay it down like a minute later. Okay,
That's
all right,
awesome.
got it. Hit record.
Love
Let's
it.
hit record. And he
Yeah.
goes, wow, that was
Well,
quick. I go,
you
all right.
have such a long career now, in the industry and all. One other thing I wanted to touch on also, before we moved on to more current stuff, is Crystal Vox. How did that come about with the Bottom Line album?
Um, um, Eddie Starline's brother, which Eddie Starline, what's the name of the guitar player? Why did I forget his
I'm
name?
trying to
Uh,
remember.
let's see.
Um,
It's been a while since I even heard.
his last name's
Tony
Lopez.
Lopez.
Huh? Tony. Tony.
Tony Lopez.
Tony is Eddie's brother, which
Oh,
Eddie was in Recon.
Wow.
And I
Okay.
remember him calling me one day, say, "Hey man, I got this song, and it's a little like I just can't come up with anything for it, and I just thought of you. Would you be interested in coming and laying down a lead?" Yeah, sure. And again, they didn't pay me. I didn't. Again,
Oh
I wasn't
man.
asking. Believe it or not, it's so funny, man. Just on a side note, I still remember talking to Jim Laverty. I talk to Jim Laverty all the time because he lives here in Nashville.
Hmm.
He said that one of the questions he got from one of these some girl fan said, "So what's it like to be a rich, famous rock star?" He goes, "I have no idea. I'll let you know when I get there." In other words, it's a lot of people have the conception that we're making a bunch of money in this Christian
Man.
rock realm. Sorry, none of us were.
right,
No one could pay
right.
anybody. No one. We just did it all for free for the ministry aspect of it,
Yeah.
and believe me, no one got rich here. We just, trust me, we did that. Just
So,
trust me on that one. But anyway, so Tony just asked me to do it. I went into the studio in Burbank and cut the lead, and that's all I remember. And I remember hearing it and going, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
and
I think, yeah.
Jamie Rowe was also like vocals, did some vocals on that album. Did you get to work with him in the studio?
No, no, we were there at probably different times.
Okay.
The first time I ever met Jamie, he was he and his brother were at a Deliverance show, and they were fans, quote unquote. That was way before he joined Guardian. And then they went to see a Deliverance in a show in Indiana, and I remember hanging out with them and talking to them. And then later, because they had a band called Fortress, I think, something like
Oh,
that. And then he ended up joining Guardian. And I go, well, look at him, man, he's going. Yeah,
that's
Guardian got
cool.
pretty
Yeah,
pretty big there for a while there.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So let's bring it forward to about 2015, and you get connected with the guys to start Worldview. What does that look like as far as the formation of it?
that's an interesting story in itself. Also, all these are interesting stories, right?
For sure.
I remember for a while there, I wasn't so much dormant in music, but I was kind of like, I was probably playing like some pop stuff. I was in a band called Salt, and believe it or not, that was with Larry Farkas playing bass,
Wow.
and Glenn Mancaruso playing drums. And it sounds like it would have been a thrash band, but it was a pop rock band
Okay. Okay.
Whoa.
with Larry, myself, and Glenn. All comes from the thrash scene. Excuse me. And we were the guy named a singer, a songwriter named Montana Shane, and he's still doing stuff. But anyways, so I did that for a few years, and we were shopping demos and this and that. Nothing really ever came of it. I guess it wasn't God's will. So then I got a hold of Rick Macias which every time we went to Chicago, like with Deliverance and touring, we always stayed with the guys in Sacred Warrior. And for some reason, I would always end up staying at Rick Macias's house. And then Rick Macias and I kind of, he was a keyboardist to Sacred Warrior, and he would always, he and I just hit it off like peas and carrots. I mean, we really did really hit it off well. Or we kept in touch through the years. Hey, how you doing, man? Hey, Merry Christmas. Hey, happy Thanksgiving. You know, we kept in touch. We developed a friendship, and every time we went there, we stayed with him, and and he was married to a gal named Joy at the time. And anyway, since then, obviously, Rick has passed away, but this is an interesting story. He came out to California. We hung out. I remember we had Thanksgiving together. He came over. His wife came. It wasn't Joy. It was his second wife. Anyway, he always said, "Man, we should do something together. We should start a band, and we should get Ray to sing." I go, "Yeah, that'd be cool." Little did I know he was saying the exact same things to Ray, because he and Ray grew up
Uh,
together.
he had
So
a
he knew Ray
plan.
well. And he was telling Ray, hey, man, we got to do something with George, man. You know, we got to write an album, write some songs, do something, man. So he's telling me, he's telling Ray. And subsequently, he passed away. Actually, Ray, you know, he was actually with Ray, not
Oh, wow.
with Ray that day, but Ray's
Yeah.
like, they found him the next day.
Wow.
Anyways, so Ray calls me, I don't know, like a month, 2 months later. He goes, hey, man, this is Ray Park. Hey, what's up, Ray? And he goes, hey, Rick always wanted us to do something together. We should just write an album together, put a band together in honor of Rick, you know, because that's one of his dying wishes. I go, hey, let's do it. That's where worldview birthed. It birthed
Wow.
from that. You know, Rick Macias kind of him trying to get me to jam with him, and Ray to jam with me. So it's kind of, and we dedicated the whole first record to Rick. So, you know,
Wow,
so
that's
yeah.
awesome. I actually got the honor of seeing Worldview and Human Code at Immortal Fest,
Yeah,
and
Mortal Fest. Yeah.
yeah, and Jay was there a couple years ago. So I've heard the word thrown around from some other fans about Worldview being a um, what do you call it? Like, an all star band or whatever. Would you? I mean, do you think that's correct, or how do you look at the band as far as that goes? A super band, or
Well, again, it makes it sound like, you know, like the guys from the Beatles joined the guys with the Stones, and they formed and they
right?
formed a
Yeah.
super group. I mean, that's what I think a super group is, not these dummies that like, you know,
Yeah.
and again, I'm not minimizing anything that we've done or whatever
Mhm.
else anybody
Yeah,
else has done,
I
but
think
it's so it's
it's a
kind of
term.
silly.
Yeah,
It's kind of silly. You know, I obviously at that point we had the guys in Recon. Let me see, Ray with Sacred Warrior, myself with Deliverance, Recon, whatever.
Mhm.
Who else do we have in the band? Yeah, that's about it. The guys, but now, yeah, they're calling Human Code a supergroup, because that's now we have Terry with Holy Soldier, you know, Mike with Baron Cross, and me with Recon Deliverance, whatever.
yeah. I
So,
mean, that's right. Both people, I've heard that thrown around about both bands, and I think it's just because of the history of the people in the band, and it's a term to describe it. But yeah, I definitely understand. Also, understand where you're coming from with that.
well, let me just share this real quick, and this will clear up the air with a lot of people.
Okay.
You know, I've had people actually bug me through the years, and I do say bug me because it kind of it does annoy me. Um, oh, get Recon back together. Oh, you should get Recon back together. Oh, Recon, and I'm just like going, that me going back in time and like trying to resurrect something that was back then, and
Yeah.
that was just that band only put out one album anyway. But why would I do that? I here's what I want to do with worldview and human code, especially human code, is have music that's up to date now. I don't want to go back.
Sure.
I don't want to like I don't want to like do hammer on guitars and shredding and you know, and just like you know, and the dive, and I mean, as cool as some of that stuff was back then, I'd rather study what the scene's doing now and then do my own version of it
I
and
think
not
that's a valid
sound,
point. That I mean,
yeah.
don't
And I'm not selling out
you
but it's kind of
appreciate the
like,
past, but you don't live in the past.
yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, I've heard certain certain bands that are still in the past. I'm not going to name any names, and they put out records, and sometimes the Christian community goes nuts over it, and I'm just like going, "This record sounds like it's straight out of the '90s." I mean, really?
Yeah,
I mean, I go, "All right, if you guys like it, God bless you," but I
Yeah.
this
think
is
it's like
such an interesting,
I think it's clueless personally.
such an interesting observation because I think about, I'm not saying any names in this because of what I'm about to say, but I will say that the top five artists that are mentioned in the group, whenever they put out a new project, any of them, it's like reduce, reuse, recycle. You know, and I think people kind of get used to like that kind of, I guess, that particular formula for each of those bands, and it's kind of like, I'm really waiting to hear something that's like, oh wow, I cannot believe they did that from any of them.
Fresh, something fresh.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
but at the same
musically.
time, because people love familiarity so much, people will be like, I think it was, I remember reading HM. This is wild. Like, just remember, it was, you ever heard the Huntingtons? Remember them? So
Yeah.
I heard the name.
A punk
it was
band.
like a Christian punk rock group. They had an advertisement in HM, and it said the same three chords, same great song.
Yeah. And they lived up to it, right?
Yeah,
I,
exactly.
I've got some of their albums. Yes, they're
Yeah,
like
man.
the
So
Christian Ramones or whatever.
right,
Really,
right,
I
right.
actually, I'll check them out because I was a huge Ramones fan. I
Oh
love
yeah,
the
no, they. I'm telling you, they do the genre well.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
like.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
That rawness, just a dun dun
yeah,
dun dun dun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool.
yeah. So, and then man, so now you come up to 2022 and you self-released Human Code demo. What was that like, and how did that come together?
Demo? What do you mean demo? Because we did a full
Demo
album.
1.0 is not right. Well,
Because
it's MP3.
the first we did do a demo, but then we actually put out the same songs, just
On the
remixed
album. Yeah, yeah.
and we put them on the album, which is Break the Silence.
Right.
Put that out through Girder and Pachyderm. So that yeah, if you will, it was kind of wetting your whistle of the band,
Okay.
with the demo, and then we knew we were going to put those songs on the record, so then we just released the full record, and kind of an interesting story. I mean, because at that point with that demo, we weren't working with Dino yet. And it's so funny. If I can give you the story, if you want, right at this point, I guess we're at that juncture.
Let's go
Is
for it.
Sure.
is Dino came over? Dino Elefante.
Yeah.
I talked to him here and there. We're like always meaning to go because he has a Harley. He has a few Harleys. I have a few Harleys, and we always talked about going riding, and it just never happened. I think one time we got to ride to this day, and but that was our basis for me and like our communication. Hey, what's going on? Hey, when we're going to riding, when we're going to, and we finally did at one point. But here's what really happened before that is I said, hey man, because I know he produced all the Barren Cross records, a bunch of them. I said, hey, the guys in Barren Cross are coming over, and they're going to rehearse here at my house, and at the same time, Human Cobra, because we're all playing Immortal Fest like 3 years ago or something like that.
Uh-huh.
No, more than that, like 4 years ago. I forgot. But anyway, so what happened is Dina goes, yeah, I'll come by and say hi to the guys. I haven't seen them in a long time. So he ended up coming over and he saw Human Code rehearsing. He said, "Man, these are great batch of songs. This is great, And what he saw, he really liked. And then I asked him, "Hey, you should work with us. We should do some stuff." So, from that point on, he helped me, produce and mix this record, And I always say this, and I've been saying this for years now, is I thought I had this album sounding good till Dino came in and just put his touch on it,
Oh yeah.
because Dino's just he's got a gift from God of just like making things sound right and making things sound good, and he and I together, I think, are a good team. I'll tell you why, because he and John together had that certain little sound, right? That pachyderm sound, that
Yeah,
Petra and all the bands that they, I think that which kind of springboarded off of Def Leppard, Hysteria, and all that. That was like, I know that was their influence for like a lot. Let's make these records sound like this because that's the number one record. Blah blah. So Petra started sounding that way, and
Oh,
then
absolutely. The late '80s. Yeah.
yeah, so it sounded good for that time, and it was like the signature Petra sound. Now
Like on fire.
now
Yeah.
put George in the mix with Dino and my influences along with his. I think we created something pretty cool that's different from that Pachyderm era, you know. And we've done two records together. We just finished the Worldview record, and and we plan to do more together because we know that our working dynamic is really good between
that's
Dino and I.
that's awesome.
I bring that whole and don't let him fool you, man. Dino's a metalhead at
Ah,
heart, man.
nice.
I play him some stuff, man. Yeah, that's badass.
That's so cool.
I
He
love
likes
it.
metal.
I
Dino's
love it.
definitely a metalhead, but he's also a pop guy.
Yeah,
Oh, so we work well together because it's funny. I just told you guys a few minutes ago that I for a while there I kind of disappeared off the scene and I was doing a pop band, and I came to realize, man. That's not me, man. I am a
Yeah.
metalhead like you guys. I'm a
Yeah.
metalhead at heart,
Yeah.
man.
that's
You
right.
know, and
Always. Forever.
and I just came back to my roots. I said, you know what? Stop it, George. Stop trying to be in this like,
Stop it, George.
stop trying to be in this like pop band because it's not you. You're more of a metalhead. You know, and obviously I'm not one of those. I'm not into
Right, right.
that. But I mean, to me, if you the quintessential metal band is Judas Priest to me, Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
I mean, early Queen's Reich. I
I
mean, Rainbow. I mean, Rainbow's almost not even metal, but it's so. I mean, I love that type of stuff, man.
Yeah.
I just
It's
saw Judas Priest with Alice Cooper and Corrosion of Conformity. I think that was Judas Priest is the loudest band I think I've ever heard live. It was insanely loud.
yeah. They still
That's
got it,
raw. I
right?
love
Oh
it.
man, Rob can sing, man, and I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and so can Alice Cooper. That was the fifth time I've seen Alice Cooper, and he's 77 now, and he still
Wow,
gets up there, and his wife's up there with him. It's
Mhm.
such a great show. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's see if I can still rock at 77.
that's right, man.
you're giving me something to shoot for.
That's
Oh yeah, you got this,
Dude,
man.
yeah.
I was talking about comparisons recently to the Christian bands like that came up in the '80s and '90s and the secular bands, and I think that Steve Rowe on Live Planetarium, he's like, "There's no better life than the Christian life. The Christian life is the ultimate life here, and it's the ultimate life in eternity, and nobody can dispute that." And it's like so many of the guys from the '80s and '90s in secular bands, man. Like now, they're just a lot of them are washed up. Now, Rob took care of himself to my Halford, and Alice Cooper took care of himself, thankfully. And
and
some
Rob
others, but
Rock.
man,
Don't forget Rob
yeah,
Rock. He still got it.
yes, absolutely. But you think about a lot of these guys, man. It's like they're just gone. God bless them, but
Yeah, don't mention any names like Vince Neil or anything. Don't.
right, exactly. But it's like
Oh, the guys that have lost it, yeah.
yeah, it's like
But
I
in his
think.
case, he probably never had it.
Oh well, yeah.
Oh
Well,
snap!
there's also that. There's definitely also that. But yeah, like it's like one of those things. People used to make fun, and I'm sure you've gotten criticism from secular artists back in the day. But it's like when people don't think ahead, but when you look 30 years later, and it's like now it's reversed.
Well, I don't ever recall having anybody say anything negative from the secular realm. I mean, I've never heard that. I've never heard because I think the music stood up for itself.
Yeah,
Even Deliverance back then, Weapons. I mean, Bill Matoyer mixed it, and he by no means was a Christian. I don't
right,
know if he is these days, but he really liked the stuff. I mean, he thought this stuff's great. I mean, in other words, it's just as good as anything else he mixes.
right.
He's mixed Slayer and Saint Armored Saint and all those bands that were pretty big in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I love
And
yeah.
I think we had the respect of people's like musically. Now,
Okay.
if they enjoyed our message or not, that was another story. But I never heard anything like you guys suck or you guys are hypocrites or you guys are.
Right.
I never heard anything like that. Either they
That's
talked behind my
awesome.
back or they never said anything. One of the
Well,
two.
that's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. So when you release "Break the Silence" on that album, I wanted to ask about "Say What You Want." That song. Can you
Say what you mean.
say what you mean? I'm sorry. I was yes. I got it mixed up. Say what you mean. What's the story behind that song, and how did that specific song come about?
Well, I tell you, I worked with a lot of people in my day. I've worked with some really good singers, man. I'm fortunate with that. Jimmy Brown is such a great singer.
Hmm.
I guess that he was a little challenging, but he had a raw great voice and recon. If that guy would have like taken care of himself, man, he would have been up there with Dio and Tate and all that.
Oh wow.
But he was
Yeah,
but he just like yeah, he didn't take care of himself or his body. Anyways, without getting into details, but he could have been great. Obviously, working with Ray Parra, what a phenomenal singer, and now with Michael Drive in Human Code. Mike's a great singer,
And that's another one that
and
still got it. Yep.
yeah, oh, Mike still got it. Not just that, but his stage antics and his stage presence is
Yeah.
he looks like a 25-year-old up there
Yes,
running
he
around.
does. He's all over.
Yeah, which is
I love
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Um, Mike. So I say that I work with a lot of singers. I've never worked with a singer as hardworking as Mike is. As soon as I write some music, he pesters me. Hey, give me your new music. I want to write lyrics and melodies to it. I go, all right. So I send him stuff, and boom, like 2 3 days later, or a day later, he's got. Listen, I already wrote lyrics and melodies to this, and he sends it back to me. It's like, wow, you know. He wrote almost everything
Nice.
on Human Code as far as vocals and melodies. So, but I do know the meanings behind the lyrics, and those lyrics that Mike wrote, it's pretty simple and straightforward. Say what you mean what you say. In other words, be a man of your word. That's the
Yes.
main thing I could say. Be a man of your word. Let the scriptures say, let your yes be yes and your no
You
be
know,
no.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So don't. It's so. That's the easiest way to sin is through this thing called the tongue. You know
Hmm.
what the Bible say about it's a mighty in power. You know, it's like a rudder on a ship. It guides the whole ship.
So true.
So powers in the tongue and the things that you say matter. You know, if you tell your friend you're going to help them, Terry Russell always brings up this analogy, and I remember it. If you tell your friend, "Hey, I'm going to help you move," you know, when you move, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden he calls you, he goes, "Hey, man, you told me you'd help me move, so I'm moving this Saturday." Oh man, I gotta go do this. I gotta go
Yeah.
do that. I
Yeah.
mean, no one wants to go help somebody move, right? I mean, that's one of the worst things to do
Yeah.
is help somebody move.
Right.
One of the worst things, or one of the things, worst things to do in life is to move. You know, grab all your stuff, pack it up, take
Yeah.
it somewhere else. We all hate moving, and we all hate helping friends move. But you know what? If you said it, you better do it. You
Yeah.
know,
That's
be a man of your word.
having
Okay,
integrity.
hey man, you said you're gonna help me move. He goes, all right. What time do you want me there? And be a man of your word and be there because you said you're gonna help him move. It's just that simple. Just be a man of your
I
word,
love it.
and you know that's it.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's good.
And a woman of your word.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Essentially, have integrity, right?
Exactly.
Integrity is everything.
I mean, you know what? That all comes down to even your marriage vows, right?
Oh,
Says, hey,
absolutely.
till I told this person till death do us part. And then guess what? Something came up I didn't really like about him or her. I'm out of here. Well, hold on, go back, go back. You made a vow publicly that you were going to stay through better and through worse. That came out of your mouth. You said those vows
Right.
with
Right.
not just before God watching, but all your guests at your wedding. We all heard you say it,
Yeah.
and now you're going back on that. What kind of integrity do you have?
Yeah.
I
So
mean, but you don't understand. George, he's a jerk, or she's the. Say what you mean what you say. You know, be a person of integrity and be a man and woman of your word.
I love it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
let me get off the soapbox now.
Oh no, you're good. No, you're totally good, man. Totally
So,
good.
well, here I got one last couple questions here. Tell us one thing about George that fans watching this may not know.
I'm fairly normal. I don't think
I'm
I
normal.
have anything that's like that's like I'm I think people that try to be artists and eccentric and all that, that's an act, and that's like phony in so
Yeah.
many ways. You know,
You're
I
just
mean,
you're just who you are
like the poor tortured artist.
Yeah.
It's just like really. I mean, get over it. Get over
Well, do
yourself.
you have any crazy hobbies or?
Well, no, that's what I was going to
Yeah.
get to. I'm fairly
Yeah.
normal.
Okay.
I like fishing, bass fishing.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
I don't like ocean fishing because I turn green.
Yeah. Oh.
So with the
Yeah.
down. But I love being on either a boat in the nice calm waters or on a shore where it's nice
Nice.
and you feel the wind. And I'm a huge dog lover with my wife. We have 5 dogs.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
You know, I'm a foodie. I love to eat. I love
Yeah.
different types of food.
Okay.
Men are fairly simple.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
That is a
Give me
fact.
some give me some good food and some loving from the wife. Uh, and just I'm a happy camper.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of like layers to peel back with me. Like I said, if you hung out with me for 24 hours, you'd say this guy's kind of boring. But yeah, that's about all I could say. It's just like I strive to not be pretentious. I strive not to be phony, and that's why I'm who I am. There's nothing that I'm sure after we hang up, I'll think, oh, I should have told him this about me,
No,
but
it's all
Yeah,
good.
always.
but
Well, I'm sure people appreciate that though.
Yeah.
You're the same person no matter where you are, and that's something that I look for in friendships, with people I meet. Are there anything in the works for New Human Code in the future here?
yes. I get. We're gonna do a show probably with as we discussed earlier. We're gonna discuss worldview and the album we just put out. We can go through every song
Right.
by song, and the lyrics and everything like that.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Uh, and we'll do that with Ray. But talking about Human Code. We're pretty excited about this record. This past record we did. We're still gonna put out a few videos for it. In this day and age, the marketing of records is just it's a wild wild west out there. No one knows how to market records anymore. Not even big record executives. I live right next door, and I'm not name dropping here. I'm giving you facts. I live right next door to a guy who works at one of the prominent record companies here in town, here in Nashville, and he told me that. It's a wild, wild west out there, George. No one has a formula anymore how to promote a record. It's like I wake up in the morning wondering, okay, what changed today? Because from everything from like what Gene Simmons says, he goes, the record companies didn't ruin the business, the fans did. They decided that they don't want to pay for music. Well, that shifted and changed a lot of things in the industry. Now people expect music for free, and in a sense, okay, here's our music, and playing live is pretty much where it's at, which we haven't got a quite firm grasp on that yet because we don't
Yeah.
play it live that often. We want to play more often, and that's
Yeah.
going to be our goal for with Human Code is playing more live shows. So
Okay.
that you're going to probably see more live shows, more announcements of live shows. That's what we just want to do right now,
That's cool.
and we are in the works of we already have about 4 songs written for a Human Code 2, but
Oh,
we still think we can bleed more out of Human Code 1. There's still
yeah.
more promotion to
Yeah.
be done. We still have, what I was getting at earlier is originally we want to do a video for every song on the record,
Oh, that's ambitious.
but we put
Videos
out,
ain't a joke.
I think we put out 3 so far, so that means 7 more to do. But we got about 3 in the can right now that'll probably gonna come out pretty soon. So that's still trying to promote that. I don't want to talk about Human Code 2 as much. I still want to promote Human Code 1, and Human Code 2 is in the works. I will say that. And so the future for Human Code, again, let me just say, is we're going to play more live shows in the future, not just Immortal over here, but more. That's our desire. So if you're any good booking agents out there, give me a call. Book. We'll come out for cheap. Just cover our expenses, and we'll be there. Um, Human Code is gonna definitely put out more videos on the first record and get more promotion out of that. And we are working on a human code too, and I already talked about it with Dino. He's on board, and we're all going to do it together. Everybody in the band's all totally excited and on board. We already have, like I said, probably about half the record already written for the next record. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, so here's a question. What is your favorite thing about being a Christian?
oh, that's easy. Jesus. I mean, it's just like, uh, if it weren't for who Jesus is and what he means to me and what the Bible points me towards,
Yeah.
um, there's some powerful things that a Christian has to draw from. If they don't, they better learn to do this. And that's number one. Go to your word, read your word, get to know who Christ is, because you're not going to know who Christ is by just hearing your pastor talk. You're not going to know who Christ is by just like some arbitrary thing happening. You're not going to know who Jesus is just by even prayer. To be honest with you, you're going to get to know Jesus by reading His Word from Genesis to Revelation. Remember, Hebrews 9:27 says that Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So when you read the Old Testament, and some people think you don't even need the Old Testament. Wrong, you do, because the same God that was the God then is the God today.
Yes,
And
sir.
there are some things that have changed in the New Testament. I get it, but at the same time, you want to know the character of God. You read Genesis to Revelation. You don't just read the New Testament. You read everything. So if you're not a Bible expert, because not all of us have to be pastors or called to be teachers, but everyone has a responsibility that calls themselves a Christian to know their Bible and to know their Lord. And you're only going to know your Lord by reading your word. I'm
Amen.
telling you that is so true. It's not even funny. So that's one powerful aspect. Another powerful aspect is make yourself available to Him, and know that whatever He has for your life, it might not be in the spotlight. It might just be like uh, being as good a Christian plumber as you can be,
Yeah,
a good Christian,
for
and be a
sure.
light. Raise some really good kids that serve God. Um, you fathers and your mothers, because that's important. Don't let them get like poisoned by the world. Protect them from that,
Mhm.
and because that's going to be your legacy. Your kids. If your kids end up being woke and they end up being all jacked up, I mean, obviously, you can lead a horse to water, and you can't make it drink. I get that, but if they get a Christian foundational teaching from the beginning, they're gonna stray a lot less if you've given them that. And I know sometimes parents have done that, and kids stray anyways. I know you can't control them, and you can't make them drink. And I know some good parents that have had some bad kids, but uh, I've also known, like Terry Russell, for instance. He's got four wonderful children that are just totally, they're younger people. See, I can't stand in a lot of ways younger people, because everything you see on social media, how like entitled they are, how woke they are in a lot of ways. And I blame the parents more for that. But when I see Terry's kids, I get hope, and I go, wow, his kids are totally on fire for the Lord, and they're young, and they have no idea the darkness that they're going into, because it's darker even than when we were young. The
Mm.
darkness is happening now. So again, it's very important. I'm not a parent, but I know it's very important to put that as part of your Christianity, as your priority is raise kids that are in the ways of the Lord, because that's going to be the tentacles from you that's going to outreach, and it's going to outlive you. You know what I mean? Because your kids are going to influence their kids, and this and that, and then so on and so forth. And maybe you were the first Christian in your family, and from you, all these leaders came, all these like
Yeah.
Christian, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, to answer your question, just get to know your Lord by reading your word, getting
Yeah.
into prayer, getting into fellowship, uh, because you want to answer that question that you just asked almost exactly how I answered it. The best part of being a Christian is Jesus, and what he
That's
what,
Yeah.
what he does for you, and what he's done for me, and he died for me on the cross, and I can't thank him enough, because I'm not worthy of salvation, but he gave it to me anyways.
that's well said. So what can the Christian metal community do to help support Human Code?
Um, Go watch our videos, comment on them, share them. In today's world, that's kind of important. Sharing, um, talk about it, and keep in touch with us. Write us letters. We'll try to write back, because that's important as far as like I love doing these interviews because it kind of gets the message out there, not just of the band, but of what we're ultimately trying to do. And there's 120,000 songs supposedly uploaded to social media every day,
Wow.
and I think that's going to get worse with like
Yeah.
the advent of AI music,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
which is fake music. It's
We
not real music;
we
it's
we
fake music.
battle that often in the
We
group.
sure
Yeah.
do.
So that's going to get even worse because people that aren't even musicians are going to put out songs.
Well,
Think
what's
about that.
scary
Think
is
about that.
whenever
How
you
stupid
can't
is?
when you can't decipher if it's an AI song. That's what I'm concerned about. Like right now, you can tell it sounds AI, and we delete that and ban it. But at some point, when is it going to be where you can't decipher that? You know?
Oh, it's
Right.
coming. It's
Yeah.
coming for sure. You're right. I mean, technology just is moving too fast, and it's crazy. But see, support your acts these days because I'm telling you, the lack of support from fans is probably what's gotten the music industry to where it's at. Because everybody's expecting their money. I heard somebody recently complaining about ticket prices for concerts these days, and I understand people don't want to pay arm, leg, and mortgage their house to go to a concert, but at the same time, you got to realize fans have taken away the revenue from the bands making money off of records. So so now the bands, the only way they're going to make money is off touring, off playing, because they don't make money off of selling records.
Yeah.
So look at it this way: when you go to a concert, you're helping support that band
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
and to be able to do future music
That's right.
because and buy their T-shirts and buy stuff and support them that way because they're not getting a dime from streaming. I mean, they're getting
Right.
0.00035 cents. I mean, you
Insanity.
know what I mean? It's a joke. It's a joke. What anything you get from streaming. I mean, and so yeah, if you want to hear more music from the artists that you like, support them.
That's
And I'm not asking for money in that way. I'm not. That's yeah. I'm just saying that any band you like,
yeah. No, that's
Striper,
just a
Petra, any of those bands, go see them. Go see them and pay the ticket price. Who cares?
yeah. No, that's a valid point. That's fair. Well, man, this has been great. I appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to the new Human Code album whenever that drops, and or new videos for the current album as well.
Those are coming
Right.
soon.
Yes.
Those are coming soon.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
God
All
bless.
right. Thank you guys.
For
God
sure. For
bless you
sure.
guys.
Absolutely. Take care, man.